Hi, my name is Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA in Orlando, Florida-based disability law firm, although we're growing into other areas. Okay, D101 Filing Basics. Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? Well, it's so much harder to obtain now because the government has overpaid. Paid individuals they never should have paid. They have entire towns in the Midwest where like 90% of the population in that town have been found disabled. Bottom line is, checks come in on a certain day, Walmart is filled with people, right? Next day, the end of the month, nobody's at Walmart. The problem with it is that a lot of people have been found disabled that shouldn't have been found disabled, especially in the mental arena. Depression, anxiety, schizoaffective tendencies, stuff like that. Okay. So what resulted from that? Well, it's hard to be found disabled now because there's a lot of senator groups that have subcommittees that have tons of attorneys sitting there reviewing disability claims to see whether or not people should have been found disabled so that they can go back at the administrative law judges and say, hey, this person is clearly not disabled. How could you have ever come up with a finding of fully favorable? There's nothing to support this. Yada, 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 yada. ALJs are afraid of this. The ALJs have bosses, just like the appeals council judges have bosses, and blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay? All right, so what does that mean? Pressure is being put on the adjudicators. Not as many people are being found disabled as it used to be. The country is in massive debt, which makes it tough for the country to pay out money. The country flat out cannot afford the program in the current setup that it's doing with all these other things that are going on as well. We don't have the money. We don't make enough money as a country. We maybe would if we stopped welfare, if we stopped a lot of other programs that we just can't afford. So that's basically the bottom line. You know, and when you think about it, there really should only be people who are working and people who are too disabled to work who get a check. There really shouldn't be, other than maybe a mother with children who needs a little help, really shouldn't be anybody else that's getting, the handouts here. It shouldn't be, right? You got working people. You got people who are disabled that can't work. So, they're going to starve on the street. We don't want that, so we give them money to be able to survive. They don't do much, but that's how we keep them around. And then we have mothers who basically have young children. You know what I mean? That's where we're at with it. That's what it should be. Mothers with young children, disabled people, and workers. These are the people. These are the three categories. It's the way it should be, but it's not. We got a lot of other categories with welfare. Welfare shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't, because the country can't afford it. We're trillions in debt. Trillions and trillions. All right. Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? There's another problem too. Originally, when disability benefits were designed, it did not take into consideration the populace, specifically female populace. It was originally designed for male workers to use as some sort of crutch or retirement plan option. But obviously, and thank God, women were given rights to go forward and work. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. What does this mean? It means that the program was only built for 50% of its applicants, and now we've got 100% of its applicants applying for it. Not only that, but we have kids applying for types of Title II benefits now too. So the program wasn't inherently built for all the types of people that it is now servicing. Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? Digital fraud and general fraud. People stealing benefits, people abusing other people to steal their benefits, locking 10 disabled people up, stealing their check every month, give them a bucket to urinate in and defecate in, and food from a bowl, and they live in that for 2 years until they die, and they get their 2 years worth of benefits. That is real abuse that is happening today somewhere in America. Okay. Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? People are jaded. Judges are jaded. Judges hear the same thing over and over. I'm sad, I'm tired, I don't feel good, I hate my life. They're jaded. They've heard it over and over and over again. They're just, yes, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, all right, good, yeah. Yep, okay, understood. Yep, I get you. Okay, good. They've heard it over and over and over again. Some of them hear it 5 times a day from 5 different claimants, day after day. What does this mean? Well, it means that judges are not biased, but they are becoming jaded. And it's because they're seeing so many claimants. And remember, the applicant pool has gone way up. There's so many more people applying for disability benefits now than there used to be. There used to be a lot less. Now it's a whole lot of people, especially during the, I don't care where you stand politically, but during the Obama years, man, everybody was unemployed. The people that gave up, the percentage they didn't count, the unemployment percentage was skyrocket. It was a heyday for us because there were zillions and zillions and zillions of people applying because nobody could get a job because the corporations had, corporations were dying off left and right. They were getting clipped by the lawnmower. And the bottom line is that, all the regulations, they couldn't produce what they used to produce. And then China has no regulations, so they could just do whatever the hell they want. I mean, they have some regulations, but compared to the U.S., it's nothing. It's nothing. Not to mention when it comes to the trade agreements that we have through the executive, orders and also executive agreements between countries, it takes basically $30 to ship something to China, and that same thing to ship back only costs China 30 cents. China, an individual from China, 30 cents. So the politicians have really screwed over this country. If we have trade, it should be free and equal trade. Costs $30 to send it there, it should cost $30 to send it back. We should have companies doing well. It's what pays lots of the taxes, most of the taxes, right? Because the companies are the ones that make tons of money. So what makes the money to pay the people? They pay the taxes on the employee payroll, yada yada. There you go. But people don't think like that. That people are, they want it all free now, especially the kids, the millennials, and the centennials, whatever the hell they're calling younger kids nowadays. And even if you're a younger person watching this, remember, nothing's free. Nothing's free. Somebody paid for it somewhere. And also remember that the work that you do defines the reputation that you have, which dictates ultimately what happens to you in your life. If you don't have a good reputation, you're never going to get a good job. If you're not working hard, you're never going to get educated properly to have a better job. I've worked at Starbucks. I've worked as a stock boy at a music store. I've worked at a musical library. I've worked at a lot of places, actually. I've had my fair share of, I don't want to say bad jobs. I just want to say, jobs that I don't want to work anymore. I've been there. Had very different thoughts, politically, legally. Now I get how it works. Now I understand how this all comes together. And it's horrible. It's absolutely terrible the way it actually works. It's horrific. And if you ever want to know, you can always come ask me. And I'll explain it to you. And you'll sit there and you'll say, no, human suffering is terrible. Human suffering is how jobs are created, how companies create products, and ultimately people survive in the current day market. The modern day slave is a person that works. That's what it is. A classic slave is a person who has a lot of student loans, and they've got to go find a job, and they've got to rent a house because they can't afford to buy a house, and they're a slave to the system of banks and other things that are basically popped up and promulgated and pushed forward and yada yada by the government. I didn't get bailed out. Banks did. It's the truth. I'll tell you more. It's very disturbing. But if you know it, you won't get taken advantage of anymore. That's sometimes a good thing. A lot of people like to be ignorant and taken advantage of, so you decide. Anyways, why is disability so much harder to obtain now? Politicians are corrupt as hell, and that's kind of slowed the process down with creating new innovations when it comes to legislation that would fix a lot of this. There's an issue there too. Okay. Why is disability so much harder to obtain now? There's more applicants from international groups. We have a lot more international agreements out there with different countries, and based upon that, they can potentially get onto our Social Security disability system, because they can transfer from that country to this country, and boom, now you've got even more people. And I don't know if you've noticed, but America's terrible, right? Yeah. Yet everybody's coming here, everybody's running here, right? You've got every group. You've got immigrants, you've got oppressed, everybody comes to America. That's the bottom line. Places that were never with America now want to become states of America. Entire countries want to become states of America. America's a really cool place. Nothing wrong with America that a little bit of some elbow grease couldn't fix. All right. Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III, Disability Resolution PA, D101 Filing Basics, specifically why is disability so much harder to obtain now. I will catch you at the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.